Dave, this is Dave, who we call Double Dave. And you get to know him as Double D, and if you really get to know him, you can call him by his first name, which is Double. So Dave kind of goes out the window. So welcome, thank you for coming on such a wonderful cycling day.
Yeah.
So we actually say it's perfect this because you can't cycle on a day like this. Well, you can, but you can't, and so you're here instead, which is great. So we're looking at a tower to tower. It's not the first time it will have been done tower to tower, but it's a beautiful, beautiful ride, and what a great tagline to an event as well to do to help with that raising awareness, etc. So we're just going to take you briefly through what Chapeau Events is. At the moment we'll chat a little bit about the route, but the route is still in the can, if you like. It's still to be done because we would go out and fully risk assess a route. We look at every inch of every mile as part of the thing we do. Currently what we're thinking is 3 days UK, 2 days France. So we'll kind of go down a bit of a straight line towards Portsmouth. So we'll go through Shropshire, we'll go through Cotswolds area, Cirencester, and then get down to Portsmouth, and we'll do the overnight ferry from Portsmouth into northern France at Cannes, or Ken, however they pronounce it. And then we'll Caen, and then we'll come over to Cannes where they do all the films. We're not doing charades today, by the way. So yeah, so we'll just run through a little bit about what we are. Of course, I always like to start with the finish, believe it or not, because the finish is what you're actually going to spend the next 12 months getting towards. And the finish is fantastic, I have to say, at the Eiffel Tower. So not only starting at Blackpool Tower, but finishing at the Eiffel Tower. It's absolutely fantastic. These are just some, we do probably the Eiffel Tower 4 or 5 times a year, and every time we go it just brings those tears to your eyes. It's just a magnificent finish. Has anyone done Paris before? London to Paris? Yeah, a few of you. So again, you've done it once and you think, well, I've done it, it was great, but believe me, it'll happen again. You know, when you first see you turn a corner and you see the Eiffel Tower literally in front of you like that. It is a fantastic thing. So those are just two of the things. But that's where we're aiming for at the end of September next year. Okay. So we always put some feedback up. We don't expect you to read it, I'll just leave it on. But generally what Chapeau Events is that's different is, a lot of people say that we care about riders, so we're not just there to say, there's the route, off you go. We will be around you all the way. So it's going to be roughly 450 miles this, about 300 miles in the UK, about 150 miles in France. You will see us on every mile of that trip. So we have outriders, we have a love bus at the back, just in case you need some loving. If you want to go on top, then that's another story. But yeah, so we have the whole thing is routed as well with arrows, so I'm sure those who've done it before will see those. We can send an arrow around in a bit just so you get a feel of that. And so you'll see us all around. So this is a lady who did a Venice to Rome trip with us, which was a similar difficult, a 5-day, 400 plus miles. So that's why we threw this up really, to say that whilst it was the toughest thing she'd ever done, she woke up on the day after the cycle to say, I want to cycle some more. And that's kind of what we want to aim to with yourselves as well. Okay. So our brand and stuff is all about tailored for you. These are the areas we tailor for you, and we'll go through a few slides as well. As I say, we look at every inch of every route, of every mile of every route. Support crew are hand-picked for what they bring to the table. So we have people who are really good cyclists, we have mechanics, we have first aid people, we have people who are just good with people, we have people who look after the hotels for you, etc, etc. So they're all hand-picked. They've all done events like this before, they've all done many outdoor events, so they're very experienced in what they do as well. We pick quality accommodation. We believe that you will need good rest, i.e. sleep, particularly when you're doing 100-mile days. And we also believe that you're well fed. And so all our catering is all designed for you to be fed in the right way, with the right amount of carbs, etc. that you need. If people have special dietary requirements, then we deal with that as well. Our chefs come out with us. They're very skilled at dealing with all sorts of dietary requirements as well. Okay. So we'll just take this bit by bit. So pre-ride support. Here we are now. We're presenting at the very start. You'll see us loads. When you sign up, we'll do many nights like this. So we'll talk through registration, we'll talk through training plans, we'll talk through any questions that you have along the way in terms of fundraising nights, etc. So we'll be around you all that time for the next 12 months or so. Registration will be online. In fact, we have the very thing tonight on registration, and we've got a bit of a special offer today for anybody who fancies actually saying pen to paper today. We don't do pen to paper, we've got a little bit, haven't we? But who presses the button today, we will have a bit of a special offer going today as well. Welcome emails. Our website is full of training tips and training information. We will send that out as well in terms of packs to people once you've registered. You get a full set of joining instructions a bit further down the line when all the hotels have been secured, when all the routes have been secured. We send you all the GPX files, whatever system you're using, Garmin, Strava, whatever, you get all that as well. And as I say, it is routed. Kit list as well, and obviously the main thing is about the charity and the awareness for the charity, so that will all come to you. Once you've registered, you'll be our friends, effectively. Okay, so Chapeau Crew I've talked through. So we like to have a bit of fun with you. So these are from various trips around Europe that we go. We always like to find lakes and things for lunch spots. So we like rivers and lakes and places like that that are really nice to relax at lunch spots and stuff. We have crazy things where people are putting arrows up in high places and we have to get them down, or using places for arrows as well. So the crew, because whilst we're doing a great thing and it's going to be a challenge, we want you to have fun while you're doing it, and that's one of the main things really. Okay. We talked about quality accommodation. Again, these are some of the hotels we use on certain rides. We look, as we say, for the best hotels we can for obviously the price. We're conscious that the price has to be right for the charity as well. But with our buying power, because we use them quite a lot, these hotels, we're able to get you really good quality hotels. So some of those may have swimming pools, which is great for after ride, you know, chilling down and stuff. But many of them have real 4-star facilities generally. Okay. We do briefings as well, so each day the route may well change. So our guys have risk assessed it to start with. We look at it a couple of weeks before, we look at it again the night before, the day before, and we look at it again in the morning. If there's anything comes out from those, you will be aware of that before we set off. We had one occasion, well we have many occasions, but we had one occasion in Holland where the day before we found out that a bridge had disappeared. And it meant a bit of a 10-mile reroute, but we were able to knock off a little bit further on. So we do reroute well before the day. So this is why we use arrows really, because whilst we can change the GPX, you may well have loaded it all up front. The route can change even the morning of the ride. We had a London to Paris this year, where the London section of that had 7 sets of roadworks on it, believe it or not, which is totally unheard of. But it meant 7 little reroutes as well on the way to Dover. So we do get all sorts of things. We've had film crew closing national parks, all sorts of things happen. But we have to deal with that before. So you will be well briefed before you set off, and the arrows will all be guiding you to the right place as well. So the route, as we talked about, it'll be 5 days cycling, 450 miles-ish. You'll hear that word quite a lot, ish. Generally people go, what do you mean ish? Well, it's ish. It's 450 mile-ish. You know, so
everything's ish.
Absolutely, absolutely. So 300 mile-ish in the UK. That will be roughly 3 100-mile days. Now that's tough. And so again, we'll talk about training probably as we get further down the line. Are you all in the room keen cyclists anyway? You've done ish. Cycling and ish? Straight away, I love it. What's your name, sir?
Howard.
Howard-ish.
Howard.
Yeah, brilliant. Well done, Howard. That's great. And 150 miles ish.
It's catching.
In France, yeah, in France. This picture is actually taken in Italy, I think, isn't it? That one. But
you get lost.
That was just at the top of the hill, where we tend to find, you know, you spread out a bit. you'll see us, that's the other thing we like to do, we like to take lots of photographs. So you'll see us all over the place in your deepest, darkest moment, generally. And we just say smile, and everything goes wonderful, which is great.
So no sound that goes with it will be fine.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have water stops. So generally on a 100-mile day, we probably have 3 official water stops. So you'll have a lunch stop roughly around halfway, 50 mile-ish. The water stops will generally be 1 in the morning, 25 mile-ish, and then 2 in the afternoon. And we do, you know, we are insistent. We're hoping it's going to be warm in September. It could well be. Generally speaking, we need, it's not just water, we carry everything that you will need, from bananas to flapjacks to crisps to peanuts to jellies to all sorts of stuff. So it's well stocked. And again, what we say is, if there's anything on there that isn't on there that you want, you just ask us. If there's anything you want to bring yourself, so we have lots of people insisting on Lucozade, for example, then let us have that, we can have that available, gluten-free stuff, you know, that sort of stuff is available.
You know that I've got a massive peanut allergy, so would that be that there wouldn't be peanuts?
Correct, yeah, correct. So that is exactly something that would be taken from the information we get, and we would deal with that. So we have separate conversations with yourself, we'll make sure that happens, yeah. In all the hotels, in all the places we eat, yeah, etc. But yeah, that will all be dealt with. So. Okay. Well, there we go. So our routes are designed, we don't just say there's A, there's B, off we go. So our routes are designed to get the most out of the routes. So in a bit you'll see we have what we call point of interest cards. So we don't just say you're setting off from Blackpool and you're finishing in Paris, off you go. So generally speaking, we'll design it, we'll have done research, we'll have looked at it, so there are places you go through that are interesting places, you know, that we can stop at. So we try and have our water stops at interesting places, we try and have lunch particularly in an interesting place. We have photo opportunities, we have points of interest, etc, etc. So I think we've got a copy of a card here. Yeah. I think it's just under that bag there. That we can say around, that's just one example of it. It'll also have some hazard type warnings on, so particularly if we've briefed you that there are train tracks at a certain place, we'll put that on the card as well, just to remind you. So Chapeau Catering, we bring our own caterers. So Chapeau has a cycling cafe over near Congleton in Cheshire, and our chefs come along. So depending on the size of the group, we'll either have 2 chefs or 3 chefs, and they come along and they cook on the day. And they buy local produce and they cook on the day. And again, what we say is if you've got any special dietaries, they will deal specially with you. And that's a variety of food, from hot food to salads and cold food and pastas, etc. So generally speaking, at the end of the session, the caterers come into the room and everyone cheers them like mad. And me and Dave come in the room and you can hear a pin drop. And that's generally what happens. Not true. So yeah, cyclists tend to love the food. And again, that's part of our ethos is sleep well, eat well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Technology at its best. So some water stops, we actually go to cafes as well. We do have hot thermos flasks on our water stops as well for teas and coffees, but we like to have toilet facilities for you as well. So generally they will be somewhere where there are public loos or somewhere where we've had a bit of a chat with the cafe and they're happy for us to be there. So we have stops at cafes, and as I said, we have stops at real point of interest. So this was a amphitheatre which was behind the cyclists, but the views, you know, were stunning in that particular one. Yeah. And we'll also, just as an interest actually, we do obviously put cafe stops on as well. So as well as water stops, we'll actually say to you, because we like to break 100 mile down and say, right, well, okay, 50's lunch, 25's water. How about at 35 miles having a nice cafe? Yeah. So we'll put it on the card. So that's a cafe we've been to. It's recommended. It's open. You go to the cafe. In the afternoon, we tend to add to the cafes by saying, and here's 10 miles to go. there's a lovely bar or pub. Just in case, you know, you might want a glass of Coke or something. But we tend to put those. Yes, so we tend to. Yeah. So these are the point of interest cards. They're going around as an example. This was Portugal, we did. And of course, they also, on a serious note, they also have the emergency numbers on. So the control room, the mechanic, the emergency numbers as well, just in case. But they're very useful, and people find these very useful as well. So of course you're in Paris, so we're setting off on a Monday. We aim to get to Paris on Friday. We have a big celebration dinner on Friday night. Celebrate what you've all achieved. Really showcase the charity. And then on Monday morning, it's the time when you actually get to have a lie-in. Because, you know, on 100-mile days, you'll generally be setting off certainly before 8 o'clock, if not slightly earlier. You've got the opportunity then to enjoy Paris for the weekend. So what we don't include is flights, but what we do include is bike transfers. So your bikes will be packed very nicely with bubble wrap, blankets, boarding, everything that keeps your bikes nice and safe. And we will be bringing those back to Blackpool, or I believe we've got some Hull type people as well, so we're quite happy to drop off in Hull as well. If you've got friends or family who want to do this, and it's easy for us to drop them off when we're coming from the south before we get to Blackpool, that's fine as well. But generally speaking, they'll be coming somewhere probably here, but we've got to still arrange that. So you've got the opportunity then to enjoy Paris. So we're there on a Friday, you can stay till Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever you want to do. You can come back by flight, you can come back by Eurostar, you can come back however you want to Paris. So that's the reason we do that. So basically after we've seen you on the celebration dinner and you've all gone your separate ways into Paris for the night, that's the last you'll see of us until we see you down here again with your bikes. So what's included? We've got 5 nights, bed and breakfast in 3 to 4 star hotels. We do try very much for 4 star. We've got the water stops, all your lunches, all your evening meals. So from Monday morning when you arrive, we'll start with lunch and we'll finish with breakfast on the day after you arrive. Bike transfers from Paris back here, as we've just talked about. Fully arrowed routes together with all the files you need for any system you use. The point of interest cards, pre-ride support is one of the things we're very, very good at as well, so we will be with you pre-ride for any questions you may have. Support crew, so just for an example, say we have 30 riders, we would normally have 8 support crew, 4 vehicles, plus catering staff. So generally there'll be 10 crew around you. And cycle jersey as well, which I know Terry might talk about later as well. What's not included, you need to get yourself and your bike to the start, okay, however you want to do that. Your flight or travel from Paris is not included. We just talked about how we prefer the flexibility of that. Personal travel insurance is key. We can't let you cycle without your own personal travel insurance. Now, when you're doing that, it is not a race, it is just a holiday or sportive. A lot of people have these with the bank accounts, and all we need is that information before you set off that you've got your travel insurance in place. Obviously spending money, generally speaking, everything's covered from the lunch till the day after, but you might want to buy some coffee or beer or whatever you fancy. Presume you've all got your own bikes. If you haven't, we have some bikes, very good bikes that we hire out on request, and we do carry, by the way, spare bikes, spare wheels, spare tyres, spare everything, spokes. If you've got anything that's specific to your bike, and again this will all come out beforehand, so spokes for example, they can be any size. We always suggest you bring at least one with you, just in case. Okay. But our mechanics are very, very good. And then obviously to get yourselves ready for a 450 mile-ish challenge, which is tough, it's tough. It's a great challenge. But the sense of achievement when you finish it will be just up there with the best. And a great opportunity for the charity to get lots of pictures, social media will be great at that point. even the lead up, we can get a lot out of it in terms of awareness, etc. So what's next? For today only, we're offering £20 off registration fee today. So if you feel like I'm going to sign up today, I'm going to be the first one, which will be a great start, and you can get registration fee today for £130. Minimum sponsorship, Terry will talk to you about, is set at £2,000. Obviously we know why we're fundraising, and there is a requirement by the charity to have at least 80% of that in place 12 weeks before. And as a company, what we do for the charity is we say we will have very minimum cost until 10 weeks before, hence why that 12-week period. So 10 weeks before, they will say we've got all the people in this room ready to sign up. Can you now pay for all the hotels, all the crew, all the catering, etc., etc., and that's what we do 10 weeks before. If at 10 weeks before they say to us, nobody's coming, then the charity doesn't lose out, apart from that very minimal cost when we're out risk assessing the route, etc. So, any questions? I think that's it. Terry's going to talk about this, I think, so just hold your questions. It's a very good question. In fact, do you want to come forward, Terry, and then we'll do the answers as they come forward. So, Howard, that's a very good question.
I'll start with the 80% first. So we need 80% of the money by 12 weeks before. We're a small charity, we're not a national charity, so we don't have massive reserves. Everything that we have coming in goes out. So our ultimately, the risk to the charity, we can't afford to do that, because if this charity had a massive risk with this, then potentially all the carers that we support would lose out. Yeah? So that has to be first and foremost, which is why we've sort of said we have to have 80% before, because at that point we need to pay chapeau. So we've got to have the commitment from everybody at that point that they are 80% towards their goal of 2,000. We've done the goal of 2,000, and that covers obviously us paying chapeau, the time for the team here that it's cost to set this up, and obviously an additional amount that is our fundraising, our biggest fundraiser that we've ever done. So we will sort of help you every step of the way. So every 3 months or so we'll be checking in to say, right, how are you doing? Do you need any help? We've got over 100 different ideas and ways that you can raise funds. I am going to throw Sharon into this. Sharon knows about this. Come on up here and talk.
I think it's worth saying though, for a team of 30, you're looking to raise about 30, upwards of 30 grand.
Yeah, it's massive for us.
So it is a big amount, I have to say.
So this is Sharon, who's already one of our community fundraisers, and Sharon decided to do the Great North Run for us. We had 5 runners. And bless her, in about 6 weeks, how much did you raise?
1,750.
So tell these guys how hard it was or how easy it was.
So the story behind this is that this year I decided to run a marathon. So I set up to run the marathon and raise money for 5 charities, but I paid for my own charity at my own place, so I wasn't tied to a charity. So I set up that and did a Just Giving page and said, if anybody wants to sponsor me, this is it. But the Carer Centre weren't attached to that page. So I then managed to raise £150-ish for each, using your word, for each of the charities, and then rang Terry one day and just said to her, I've got £150 here for you. And she was like, pardon, you've not told us this, you've not done anything. So she said, then will you do the Great North Run for us? So it was £500 we were expecting, and I didn't want to then use the Just Giving page because I'd already done it. So I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll just put something out on social media, people I work with, and said, I'm prepared to do car boot sales every weekend if anybody wants to declutter. And literally, my garage is still full. I'm still selling stuff. I've got another £200 with me today for the charity, which, you know, is another bit potentially towards it. You know, I spoke to Terry about stopping at the 1750 and making a decision today about where we go. If I decide, because I'm a definite maybe, the £200 will, you know, one way or the other. So yeah, car boot sales. A friend of mine did an open mic night. We didn't know what to expect, and all she did was invite her friends and family. We made £230 with all her friends and family just literally coming in and singing, bringing their instruments, singing, raffles, football cards. They've still got a football card going around at work, a football card with, well, it's actually a teddy with names on, and that's going to potentially make another £50. literally, if you're not necessarily asking for money, I mean, people are generous and will give you money, but if you're looking at doing anything else, a friend of mine's going to do a quiz night for us. Veronica will do another open mic night. I'm based in Preston. They'll do activities here in Blackpool. I did some fundraising last year. I did a 12-hour sponsored spin. We raised £1,000 and we sat on a bike and just, you know, the instructors all donated the time for free. You know, I'm a member of leisure centres. I'm very cheeky as well. I'll contact any of the local leisure centres. We can do that. We can do, you know, we've been talking, you know, the two I'm sat with there, you know, about bagpack, you know, doing bagpacking, anything. And what we wondered, because obviously it is a big amount and people would be anxious, but if I think £2,000 is achievable to doing all the things I've already done. But once I've raised my £2,000, could that go anything in you know, would that be able to go towards somebody else who was struggling if I made more money? So that it could be a collective for us as a group. So somebody who is struggling with the fundraising, you know, then if I make money on something else, I could notify you and pay it onto their account so that people aren't under that pressure. Because
and I think what would be really good, because Sharon is amazing at getting anything out of anybody, aren't you? What is amazing is if you all get a WhatsApp group together and you can throw the ideas on the WhatsApp group. So, I don't know, Danny, you might do something and say, gosh, I've done this and I've raised £300 and I didn't think, well, you know, and between all of you sort of support each other, because we want it to be a big team thing for everybody. We want you all to have an amazing time. And I do think that support for each other would make the difference. So, yeah. Yeah, does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I did warn her when she walked in. I said, I'm going to drop you in here so she's going to sit.
I realised it meant that much.
No, but thank you for that. And it just goes to show in that 6 weeks how much you did and, you know, how much people are willing to give. And I'm happy to come in, you know, if somebody is working for a company and they want me to come in and talk about what we do, which will raise awareness for you guys and which will help you, I'm more than happy to do that. Anything, you know, things like that you want me to come along and do, I'll gladly do a talk. Sorry, I've realised you're behind a tree. I'll gladly come along and you know, and do a talk about what we do, and that way you'll gather the interest from where you work or wherever you're raising money.
Yeah, things like cycle shirts, so you're cycling for 5 days. So I know you're talking about 1 day.
The start and the finish will definitely have the cycling shirts that you'll have on.
So it's 3 other days, so we have people who will write to companies, friends you know, give us £50 and we'll put your logo on a shirt. Cycle shirts, the more logos you have, the better they look.
Yeah.
Yours is a great example of that today. So very quickly, he comes every year with us for Prevent Breast Cancer. He just gets a white shirt, puts lots of logos on, raises £1,000 and just wears it and takes lots of pictures and posts them, and that's all he does. The football card, by the way, I've seen it where if you're in a work with quite lots of people, hopefully somebody maybe having a baby, you know, guess the weight of the baby is always a good thing, and you do your own little football card effectively, but it becomes a bit more personal, you know. So I never give away cash, I always get a prize to give away because we don't want to give away the cash, do we? You know, those sort of things. So there's lots of things, little restaurants midweek are always empty. So go to the owner, book a restaurant, you know, an Indian, a Chinese, or whatever they are, and they'll maybe do your deal for £6, £7 for naan bread, rice, pappardelle, that sort of thing, and you charge 10, 11, 12 quid to your friends, get them together, have a bit of a raffle, you can make 100, 200.
We've had a chat, one of the other runners for the Great North Run, he did 2 at a restaurant, the same restaurant, and he did £300 each night, and the restaurant still obviously made money as well. So
I did an afternoon tea as well, and contacted one of the local cafes in Preston and said, what will you do it for? And we managed to raise £200.
Yeah, if you pick a night when they're quiet, they're quite happy for you to go along.
Well, so it's just a Valerie though, will it?
No, not now, no.
Any other
I got some
questions?
cheap cakes.
It's not targeted at you guys. From the charity, the only thing I was wondering, do you provide us with buckets and livery things like collections?
Can do.
Is that alright?
Yeah, I've got 100 buckets upstairs.
I was on eBay.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we can provide you with buckets. We can even design the labels for tower to tower. You understand?
Use the building as well.
Yeah, just use the building for free.
Yeah, no, that's that, thanks.
Yeah, but we can get the buckets labelled up for tower to tower and the logo and the pictures on there, definitely.
You gave me a lot of leaflets, didn't you, and
Yeah.
boards. So when I did the car boot sales, it was great for sharing information about things as well.
I
and
gave Sharon
awareness.
my like a big fundraising board, big blue board, massive. So if you've got any events and you want me to drop that off, we can certainly do that, and the buckets. Yeah, anything. But yeah, you can have afternoon teas here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have an open mic night here.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Again, it's bringing people to the centre, it's raising that awareness. There you go.
Are there any restrictions on the kind of bags you can use?
No, no, no. We obviously suggest road bags. The route is planned for road bags, but we have people come on all sorts of bikes with it. So, yeah.
We'll use a
Much easier.
motorbike.
Yeah,
We've got a guy, joking apart, we've got a guy that's doing it on a motorbike. No, honestly, he was one of the DIY SOS guys that came to help with the building in 2016. He's still a massive supporter, and he lives down in Bristol, and he contacted me and said, Terry, can I be the support vehicle? I've got my motorbike. I said, well, yeah, if you can raise £2,000. So, joking apart, we have got someone on a motorbike.
We do have people on electric bikes, believe it or not.
Do you? That's
Yeah,
cheating.
seriously.
I
The
could
only-
do
the
be
only
a
thing-
Michelle like, we
the
could
only
do
thing-
that.
The only thing we say with electric bikes is only one of our vehicles can pick up the electric bike. So obviously we have roof bars on the cars, and so if something's going to happen with an electric bike,
cheating. You're not doing it on a leggy bike, Terry.
so yeah.
I can't. I've got to G you up with my T2 on at the side, haven't I? So.
Yeah.
But I like
Cycling in
back to
supermarkets,
Dave's.
I don't know if you mentioned this, cycling in supermarkets rather than backpacking, get one of your, your turbo trainers or
Yeah.
spin bag, they'll let you plonk yourself somewhere past the tills, so you can train while you have a few buckets. That's a great one. You can even take it in turns, 4 or 5 if you go down. Take it in turns, that's a good one. Yeah, there's so much you can do.
Yeah. But what I need as well from you guys is I need you to spread the word. So I really, really, really need to get 30 riders. So we have got a few, to be fair, that can't get here today, so we know that. But I know Sharon, when she came in, said I think she's got 4 riders to go with her. I was like, yes. So I really, really need you guys to spread the word and drag as many people as you can along, because we want it to be really good fun, raise loads of money, raise loads of awareness, and just all sort of do it together.
So if you don't get 30, is it not happening?
We won't go there. We need to get 30, and we will get 30.
No, I know we will get 30,
Course
but
we
I'm
will,
just
Sharon.
meaning just like...
Yeah, we need 30. Yeah, so to make it purely our event.
Can it be more than 30 though?
Absolutely. If I got 50, I'd be like,
That'd
proud
be
now.
ambitious.
If we could get 50, Terry would be ecstatic.
Oh, I'd be doing cartwheels all the way to Paris. I really would be doing cartwheels all the way to Paris.
Let's push for 50.
What did you say? Yeah, there you go. I will do cartwheels, not all the way, but on every stop I will do a cartwheel in a tutu if you get me 50 rides.
Right.
How's that? Anything else? Is everybody, have we explained it all? Well, the guys, not me, obviously. Yeah? How's everybody feeling?
A physical level, just having not done something like this before, level of physical fitness, what would you compare it to?
Yeah, so I mean we have rides with 100-mile days on them. This is obviously 300-mile days. So most of the training, as well as obviously getting to a level of 60, 70-mile days back before you end up going. Now 67-mile day isn't set off from here, cycle 70 miles, I've done it. That could be set off to a cafe that's 30 miles down the road, because that's similar to what you're going to be doing. You know, you're going to be stopping for water, you're going to be stopping for cafes, you're going to be stopping, etc. 100 miles, generally speaking, will take you around, well, we allow 10 hours for that day, 10 miles an hour. But obviously don't forget you're going to be stopping for your lunch and you're going to be stopping. That's generally and we never grab anybody in, but once it goes dark, we're into lights and that sort of thing. And we've got to also think that you've got to get some sleep and get on your bike the next day. So generally speaking, you should be aiming towards July time, 60, 70 mile rides. That's 35 to a cafe, come back, that sort of thing, yeah? The biggest training you have to do is for your backside, seriously. So when we do cycling, we can talk weeing and backsides and rubbing and cream and all that sort of stuff. Chafing and all sorts of stuff. You must try and do one day and then get on your bike the next day, because that is an experience to be had if you've not done that before. Okay? But you'll be doing that for 5 days. Your legs, believe it or not, get stronger. So your legs are kind of training as you're riding. It's your bum. So we've done 6-day, 7-day, 8-day rides, and it is you know you get suddenly you get this on the bike, you know, and you think, oh yeah, we know what's going on there. But yeah, we'll talk you through that. So, you know, not to lower the tone, underwear. So underwear with lycra is a no-go really. It's all right for 20-30 mile, but when you're doing this, you should try and get to a point where you're happy not to wear underwear under your lycra, because it just chafes.
Chamois cream.
Chamois cream, yeah.
Best thing you can get.
Absolutely.
Will you send out, I mean, obviously some people have done these kind of things before, some have, some may not have done, so would you send out something like a suggested kit list to people?
Absolutely. So the
that
kit list, absolutely, yeah. So the kit list comes anyway with the joining instruction. But what we've suggested, let's have a Facebook group, let's have a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Any question is not a silly question, get them on there, you know, and we will start to do that. Yeah.
Something else as well that I know, but the guys perhaps you might not have seen, is at the end of every day when you give your bike back, because they then look after the bike while you go to your accommodation, you then get your luggage back. So there's that handover at the end of the day with your bike to your luggage.
Oh yeah, you're not carrying your luggage.
You're not carrying your luggage. And then obviously when you get to Paris and you have the bikes back, you'll get your luggage then for the weekend or however long you're staying for.
Yeah, generally we make it easy for you. We've checked you in the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done everything for you that you need to do.
I've just checked the flights this morning as well on Skyscanner. So flying out on the Friday, if any of your friends or family wanted to come out and see you coming through, is £50, and they've only just come out, so they might be down. And the flight back on the Sunday is £50. So I had a quick look this morning just to see. So just to give you an idea of the cost of the flights for either family coming out or you coming out.
Yeah, friends and family can come to the celebration dinner as well. That'll all be sent to you, so there'll be a price, but it'll only be whatever the cost is. So that's possible as well if people are coming out. Obviously nearer that point we'll let you know where we're going to end up popping out to the Eiffel Tower, so they can all be there to watch you come in and stuff. So
Where are the bikes kept overnight?
secure rooms in hotels, so mainly conference rooms and stuff, but they're all secure.
When the bike comes back,
Yes.
if we opt to stay in France a bit longer than the Sunday,
Yes.
is our bike going to be okay?
Yeah, yes is the answer. We've got a bike from a guy who did a trip with us 3 years ago, and we've still got it.
I don't think that's a good
He's
selling
now-
point. It doesn't
he's
have
now,
anything to do with it.
No, he's moved to Australia, so
Oh,
he said,
right.
will you look after it for us? So, yeah. But we always quote that. We've got a bike there in our storage. Yeah. So yes is the answer, yeah.
What's the least experienced cyclist you've ever had?
Oh, I could tell you some stories on this.
Positive.
Well, obviously, so on the ride, so let's think of a ride like this. So, well, London to Paris, we once had a guy turn up in the morning with his jeans and a t-shirt on, and it was like a butcher's bike. That's the best way to describe it, isn't it? We're thinking, oh, you know, and we usually know by the morning water stop, you know, generally where you're going to be on the road and how you're going to cope and stuff like that.
My younger brother did London to Paris in September. He's a lot younger than me. He's only 20 years younger than me, so 30ish. And he did it on 36 miles training.
Yeah,
We said he
and
wouldn't finish it, but he did.
yeah, and London to
And
Paris.
It's a stupid thing to do, but
Yeah, London to Paris, we say you can train for a London to Paris in 8 weeks, and that's getting your bike out of the shed and dusting it off since you had your paper round, you know, that sort of stuff. You can do it. Well, this guy on the butcher's bike, his job was cycling around London, believe it or not, so he was up at the front on his, you know, with all the £6,000 bikes and lots of lycra. He was there in his jeans and his t-shirt, but at the front, quite happily cycling along. So we get a lot of inexperience on one-day rides, but again, you know, we cater for all. What we would suggest is that on this ride, it'd be very difficult to come with, unless you're a 20-odd-year-old very fit person who runs marathons and that sort of thing. It's really, it is your bum,
there
to
an
be
age
honest.
restriction?
So our insurance, so that's the thing I was going to say, so we're fully ABTOP bonded, so that means if something happened between the 10-week and the time we go, you know, who knows with Brexit, what might happen, you'll get full repayment of your money if the ride didn't go ahead, so that's ABTOP bonded. We're also public liability, £10 million of public liability, so you cover for all that sort of stuff that goes on. I forgot the question now. What was the question? Age. So our insurance covers 18 and above, or 16 and above with a responsible adult. That adult would have to sign something. Below, how old are you?
12. I asked this morning when she
I'm
came
very
in.
sorry. You'll have to see us in Paris. Under 16, we would steer very clear of, unfortunately.
I think you'd have to do the bike riding on.
Yeah.
And what's the upper limit on it?
Sorry, Dave.
Upper limit on age?
Upper limit on age, well, we had two 70-odd-year-olds on a tandem on our last ride. So again, a question we've been chatting about with the team is around, you'll be filling in full medical history, dietary requirements, etc., etc. If there's anything on there, you'll know this now, just sat there listening to me. If there's anything on there where, unfortunately, we're going to have to get a doctor's note about, then we're insistent, very insistent on that as well. But we've had people with hearts, bypasses, what do they call it, machine on your heart? Pacemakers, thank you very much. We have people with pacemakers, and the doctors quite happily sign them off, etc. So it just covers that insurance angle for us. But there's no age restriction. Well, because it's our road, and we have outriders, we would never want you to stick together as a group of 30 anyway, because that's dangerous on the roads. So generally speaking, you'll form naturally your own little groups. And that does happen every ride, very naturally. But it's going to be exciting, I have to say. So as I say, we've got. If anyone wants to kind of do it today, come on a whim, then as I say, we'll offer £20 off the registrations today, and then we've got a great story to start to tell to people. Yeah, we've got all these people starting to sign up. We can start the social media. We can get it going.
So when does the offer finish?
The offer's today only.
We're finishing at midnight.
Finishing at midnight today. Go on then. Midnight today.
Did anybody hear BBC Radio
You can use
Lancashire
your
this
card
morning?
as
It was
well.
on Radio Lancashire. We put it on Facebook. It's really gone quite far and wide today. I want to get in touch with that guy who was on telly last week. I forgot his name, and I knew this morning. Who is in a wheelchair and he's into doing all crazy sports. If anybody like, oh God, I can't think of his name. He was on telly last week.
I don't watch telly.
And I wanted to get him involved.
You're okay with people with disabilities?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So here's a story. So again, another tandem. So kidney charity. The guy in the front, really, and they were both called Guy. And I always say guys. So it was a bit very confusing. So the chap on the front, called Guy, was going through dialysis, and so he was quite weak. But he said, I really want to do it. So I've got my friend, who's also called Guy, who's blind, but he's very, very strong. So the blind charity provided them with his tandem. They went all the way to Paris. And what was really unusual, we sat behind them at times, and he had a high vis on that said, careful blind cyclist. And at times you could only literally see That's good. Yeah, no, we have all sorts. In fact, we had a chap who was 78, and he'd made his own tri-bike.
Like a recumbent cycle.
Oh, Michelle was going to do one of those.
Yeah. So yeah, we had him on a 3-day ride as well. So
The most amazing one I saw of that was my son and I did the job, and there was a father and son, and the son was wheelchair bound, and he built his bike, and on the front of the bike was a platform, and his wheelchair sat on this platform, and he was just riding the bike. It was instead of a trailer, it was on the front, and it was when we were just like, respect, full respect.
yeah, no, it's good. It's good
Yeah.
story. Awesome.
Amazing what people do.
And
he's
for
a
you,
carer.
sir, I've just thought of this, Howard. So you've got some forms, haven't you?
Oh,
Signing them.
Yeah.
So as long as you sign a form today, and you can still change your mind when you go home, as long as you've paid in the next week, we'll hold the offer.
All right.
Yeah?
No, so I've just got to go home
Yeah,
and get it ticked by the wife.
absolutely. That's a must.
I wouldn't dare do something off the
So
phone
there you go.
back.
So there's the offer. There's the offer for anyone. If you sign the form today, we will hold the offer. Anyone who signs the form today will hold the offer. How about that? That's like
Right.
you've registered today. How about that?
Michelle's saying
So
something.
who wants to say your address?
I
I know, and I've had some on Facebook this morning as well, and I know we've got 4 in Hull, so...
Yeah, well, we'll hold that offer for today.
Right.
Okay? Awesome.
So if there's no more questions, you're welcome to have another brew with us, have a chat amongst yourselves. Please eat the sandwiches.
Yeah, we'll
And
be
sign the
around as well.
forms.
And
today.
sign the forms! Yes!
We'll be around for 20 minutes or so.
No, thank you for coming as well. Thanks everyone.
Yeah.